Turn to the chair of the Rail Subcommittee, the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Shuster.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, good to see you again. I'm going to abbreviate my typical speech that I give on this issue. Mr. Szabo sitting behind there smiling. I think he could probably recite it verbatim. But I appreciate having this hearing, and I agree with the chairman and many other members. The president's vision of high-speed rail in this country, I just don't believe it's going to happen because we don't have the money. Number two, I don't really think we have the need to have 80% of the American population have access to high-speed rail. I do believe there are corridors in this country that can not only need high-speed rail, but we should be focused on them. We should be absolutely focused, and we're not in this present form that we're taking. We're spreading money all over the country. It's no surprise that Ohio and Wisconsin have turned down these large sums of money because they realize they're going to be strapped with operating costs that are going to drive them further into debt. I really believe if we focus on the one true high-speed rail corridor that we have today that desperately needs it is the Northeast Corridor. We own the tracks, so we don't have to go round and round with our friends in the freight rails on it. We own the tracks. We can do separations where we need it. And as my friend from New Jersey mentioned, there's a bridge up there. It's a huge bottleneck. We should focus the money there. The tunnel in Baltimore, I know some of the money is coming back to make those improvements. But if we're really serious about getting high-speed rail, we need to find one place to do it in the country, to do it right, spend the money to do it right, learn from it, the lessons, and then take it to these other corridors that will emerge in the future. The California corridor, the money being spent there, the more I see of it, and you see the numbers, they've gone from $40 billion to $100 billion to maybe 20 years to who knows. And Mr. Secretary, you've been in Congress, you've been in government long enough to know that if they're saying $100 or $90 billion, you know it's going to be more than that. And in California, I've been to Southern California, and they're telling me that between $1 billion and $1.5 billion, you could truly have significant impact on intercity rail transportation between San Diego and Los Angeles. That's where we ought to start in California. The northern city of San Francisco and that corridor and Southern California. So again, I urge you to go back and sit down with the President and Mr. Szabo and really reevaluate what we're doing here, because I just don't believe that we're going to be able to have high-speed rail across this country because we can't afford it and because the American people really aren't clamoring for that. They are clamoring, though, to have better intercity rail, higher speeds. Keystone Corridor, great example. It's not high speed, but the ridership has gone up 40% over the last 4 or 5 years, and it continues to grow, Harrisburg to Philadelphia, and that is not high-speed rail, but it is higher speed, more frequency. Those are the things that I think will benefit the traveling public in America if we focus on those areas. So, again, appreciate you being here today. Look forward to your testimony, and I yield back. Ms. Richardson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Secretary, let me start off by saying you looked quite dashing last night.
Thank you.
3 quick questions for you and 1 comment to my colleagues. First of all, I just want to remind everyone that all roads to glory always lead west. So we appreciate your efforts, and I thank Ms. Edwards for at least allowing California to stay on the map.
Well, generally to yield, did you mean western Pennsylvania?
No, sir. I meant the real west where the gold was found and the shores of California. But my 3 questions are very brief. First of all, sir, my question is, I know Mr. Denham, I had an opportunity to participate in a hearing with Transportation with Mr. Mica, and initially in our proposal in California, it started off that the segment would be in the Central Valley. There's obviously been multiple discussions, and it's my understanding that any future proposals have to include the Central Valley. Are you still, committed that it has to be the Central Valley, or is there openness to other potential routes?
It's the Central Valley, and again, this is not stuff we make up. We go to the stakeholders that have been involved in these projects for 15 years, and we take our cues from them. But we also have made investments in, we made a $450 million investment in Trans Bay. That's not in the Central Valley, by the way. It's at the other end. It's at the start. So the idea that this is kind of a dead-end thing in California is not accurate. We made a $500 million investment in Trans-Bay, which is in San Francisco, in downtown San Francisco, which is one of the demarcation points for the high-speed rail. Everything's not in the Central Valley, but we're in the Central Valley. We've made a commitment there. That's where people want us to be, and so until somebody tells us differently or they have a different plan, that's where we're going to be.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. My other two questions were not related, but I think very important and timely. If we have a CR, one of the things I found with the airports
3 years ago, there were different governors in different states. I don't have to tell all of you that. You know that. There's a new governor in New York. He wants high-speed rail. That didn't exist when we started 3 years ago. There's a new governor in Connecticut. And I've met with these governors. These governors are our partners. We need partners. Amtrak has been a good partner. For all the criticism and how people love to decry Amtrak, Amtrak is making money. Ridership is up. I was on a train to New York City this weekend from Washington to New York, completely full. From New York to Washington on Sunday, completely full. Ridership is up on Amtrak. We're making investments in Amtrak. They're as good a partner as any state that stepped up and wants to get into the passenger rail business. We are not going to just invest every dollar in one part of the country. That's not fair. It's not fair to people who get elected to this House who have people in their states that want to get in the passenger rail business. It's simply not fair.
You make my case for me. You were on a train from Washington to New York. It was full. Absolutely. That's why we need to focus there.
And it was on time, and they made money.
The train that exists in California between San Francisco and Los Angeles isn't full. I don't believe it, and I don't believe there's enough money in California to ever complete that project. You've got a state that's as close to being bankrupt as you can, and so why don't we... Look, I'm for passenger rail in this country. I'm just not for spending this money on high-speed rail lines that aren't going to be built, that the American people aren't clamoring for. My good friend from West Virginia said there are people in this country, they're aching for relief. You know where they're aching for relief? To have passenger rail where we should be spending some of this money? Los Angeles to San Diego. For half of what we're investing in the Central Corridor, they can have significant improvements to move people around. And anybody, Mr. Secretary, I know you've been to Southern California. All you have to do is walk out the front door of your hotel, and you see the massive congestion. So why aren't we really focusing on these places that really have tremendous needs? As far as I can tell, from San Francisco to Los Angeles, the roads are not backed up. They're not sitting in tremendous traffic jams. That's occurring in Southern California and Northern California. So I encourage you. Again, I'm in favor of high-speed rail where it makes sense. I'm in favor of improving passenger rail systems. As I say, I use it all the time as an example. I hope you do. I know Mr. Szabo and I have spoken about it. The Keystone Corridor. That's an example of passenger rail. It's not high-speed rail, and people are getting on it. I'm the poster child for railroad passenger rail service. 20 years ago, as you know, my father sat on this committee, and I told him, I'll never get out of my car and ride in a train because I want the freedom, as most Americans do. But today, if I'm going to Philadelphia from Washington or from my district, I go to Harrisburg and get on the train because I don't want to deal with the traffic. And I think American people, when you have frequency and reliability, you don't have to go 150 miles, 180 miles an hour. And it's a lot less expensive to upgrade those, as we're seeing in some of these corridors in the Midwest. I think that's really where our focus should be. And I see my time's expired. One other thing I just want to bring up,
are asking for. It's not a reflection of President Obama sitting down on a map and drawing a line, or Ray LaHood. This came from the people, and the people want this. Irregardless of whether you think they do or not, the people in California want this. People that have been working on it for 15 years. People in Mr. DeFazio's area in the Northwest want this corridor. We didn't make it up. And we're making investments where we think they're good investments, where over time, over a period of time, it took 50 years to build the interstate. We're not going to build high-speed rail overnight. It's going to take some time. We're doing what the people want. And also, elected representatives of the people, by the way.
With all due respect, Mr. Secretary, my daughter wants a brand-new Jeep Grand Cherokee luxury SUV. She can't afford it, nor can I afford it.
Well,
And that's part of the problem in this situation.
I'm glad you didn't think that when you came to me about the Keystone Line, because you thought it was a good idea, and we thought it was a good idea, and we found the money to make the investments, and that's what we're doing for other representatives in Congress.
You're absolutely right where it makes sense. I'm not coming to you asking you to invest in high-speed rail from Harrisburg to Pittsburgh, and that goes right through my district, and I haven't done that. Where it makes sense, I support it. Where it doesn't make sense, again, I think we're wasting our money, and we should be focused on areas where we can see tremendous success stories that are out there. We'll be able to see that.
I thank the gentleman. I thank the secretary, and now we'll go back.
Good investment, although the numbers have ballooned to $98.5 billion. So my question to you is, sir, where does that money come from?
There is not enough money here in Washington to do what the people in California want to do. And so we've encouraged companies that were going to invest in Florida and other places to go to California. I've had a couple of meetings with Governor Brown about this. I've arranged meetings with Governor Brown and investors from China and Japan that could possibly, the discussions are still going on, come to California, establish opportunities for jobs, to build the infrastructure, to build the train sets so that these Californians can go to work there doing them. It's going to take private investment. There's no question about it. And there are companies that are in discussions with California officials to make investments.
But you do agree with the $98.5 billion number, that at least that we're starting with a factual baseline of that is going to be the true cost.
It's going to be expensive to build the high-speed rail. If that's the figure today, that's the figure today. It'll be different tomorrow. Look at the longer. Look at these. There's an inflation factor here. When this project started, it wasn't 95.
No,
it was
30,
less than that.
33.
And when
33 now, it's
when we're here
triple.
3 years from now, it's going to be higher than that. So the answer is, you got the right figure today. This is an expensive project, but all of the money is going to American workers to build American infrastructure. It's not as if the money, it's going to our people. It's going to your friends and neighbors. It's going to your constituents to pay their salaries, to build the train sets, to build the infrastructure. That's where the money's going to. And if we can get private investors, pardon me?
At what cost? So I'm with you. I want to create American jobs too. The shovel-ready projects that we talk about, I love for the shovel to actually be in the ground creating these jobs. But at what cost? I mean, if it's a $98.5 billion project, are we saying $1 million a job is a good job? $2 million a job is a good job? At what price do we throw money at a project that you can't define numbers on?
This money is going to small businesses, going to big businesses, going to contractors, and going to American workers.
Yes,
that's
sir,
where the money's going.
I understand that. My time is limited. My question is, the American public wants to know at what cost. Is it $98.5 billion? And if that is really the cost, where does that money come from? Because right now, California voters that approved a $9.95 billion bond, 10% of the overall cost, they want their money back. Today's Sacramento Bee shows that 64% of the people are now opposed to it. People that went to the ballot box and voted for the $9.95 billion bond are now opposed to it and want that pulled back. So if the federal government's commitment is $3.6 billion, which they've already allocated as stimulus dollars that haven't put a shovel into the ground, where does the other $95 billion come from? If there's a private investor out there that wants to spend $95 billion, bring them on. Give me their names. I'd love to see the plan that they have. I'd love to see them not only invest, but I'd like to see them get a return on their investment. But we continue talking about investing with no plan on what the return to the taxpayer is. So, every transportation project we look at, we have a plan. We know what it's going to cost in the environmental phase, the planning phase, construction phase. We know how many jobs we're going to create. But yet this big picture of high-speed rail, which sounds warm and fuzzy, isn't sounding warm and fuzzy anymore because we don't have any concrete numbers. So I would assume that if you're going to throw more stimulus dollars, if you're going to throw more of the taxpayers' dollars at this project, that you have to have some kind of plan other than maybe there's a private investor out there that might want to put some money into this.
California has a plan. I'll be happy to share it with you. I would suggest you talk to Jim Costa about it. He's worked on it when he was a state assembly person. He's worked on it since he's been a congressman. Governor Brown has a new team of people in place. California has a plan. That's why we're funding
Secretary,
it.
do you have a plan?
Absolutely. Here it is. Here it is in pictures, and I can give it to you in writing too if you'd like.
I'm here to not debate you, but to understand what the federal government's obligation is. Right now, you've obligated $3.6 billion of stimulus dollars to a project that's not shovel-ready. If California has a plan, they must be relying on the federal government somewhat for an additional lump sum of money above the 3.6. What is that number? I think not only as a member of this committee I should have that number, but my taxpayers in the district that have committed $9.95 billion should understand what that number is.
We'll share it with you.
I look forward to seeing it.
Gentleman's time has expired.